Hello, Changemakers. Tom McGrath here. Just wanted to take a moment of your time before we get on with today's fantastic show to give a big, resounding plug to the world's biggest digital employee experience event, which is, of course, Nexthink's Experience. Or should I say events, since there are two. There is one this month, starting this month, the 30th of September, in London at the Intercontinental. That's on the 30th of September and the 1st of October. And there is one for all of our friends in North America at the Omni Boston Hotel at the Seaport in Boston. And that's on the 14th and 15th of October. They're both two-day events. They both host appearances from many of the world's biggest brands and best digital workplaces. There are incredible networking and learning and training opportunities throughout the two locations. You'll even be joined by the likes of Gartner and in Boston, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and last but not least, the Deck Show itself. Tim and I, and many of our show colleagues will be at the events. We'll be doing a live presentation, a live show at London and at Boston. So do come and say hello if you're there, and we look forward to it very, very, very much. So thank you so much, and on with the show. Bye.
Welcome, IT Changemakers, to the Deck Show with Tim Flower and Tom McGraw. Let's get into it.
Hello, Changemakers. Welcome back to the Deck Show within a show. Within a show, you know what it is. It's those episodes of Reality Bytes where the panel and myself get to interview another fascinating Next Thinker. And we've got, I believe, a first time fascinating Next Thinker on the show with us today. But I have to just add, as well as I should mention our favorites, Dina and Tim. Hi, guys.
Hey.
But I should just add that one of the joys of Reality Bytes is not only that we get to welcome so many fascinating Next Thinkers and that there are so many to talk to, but that we work for an organization that is so relentlessly creative and innovative, and it gives us so much to talk to them about. And today is absolutely no exception. It is the opposite of an exception. It is a case in point, which is because we are announcing an amazing, fascinating new Nexthink product today. It's called AI Drive. Might not be today, this week. Matt will tell us. And Matt Rose is the product marketing manager here at Nexthink and is leading the charge around AI Drive. So let's welcome him to the show first of all. Welcome along, Matt.
Tom, thanks very much. Great to be here.
And how wrong am I about the dates? What is the official date? Remind us.
Yeah, of course. So we've actually got customers utilizing AI Drive right now. On September 15th will be the big announcement. And then a couple weeks after that, everybody will be able to jump in, give it a try, and start making some great progress with their AI strategy.
What wonderful timing, ladies and gentlemen. But look, welcome, Matt. And first of all, let's tell us a little bit about yourself to begin with, sir.
Yeah, of course. So Matt Rose, based out of Boston, been with Nexthink for closing in on 3 years now. In the product marketing space, have a myriad of different responsibilities, but I think a few that as listeners and potentially Nexthink power users that you may have leveraged in the past would be most recently Nexthink Assist and the continued enhancements that we're making there. And really a lot of the other, I have my hand in a lot of the other AI capabilities that Nexthink is working to continue to evolve and unlock for everybody.
Fantastic. And I have to say, of all the innovation that's come out of Nexthink over the last year or so, maybe AI Drive is the thing I'm most excited about. And before we get into why that is and what it does, set the stage for us, Matt. How do you see the current corporate landscape when it comes to, shall we say, AI-driven digital transformation over the coming year or three? And what are the big forces at play right now as you see them?
Yeah, so I think I think a lot of people say, "Oh, we're at the beginning stages," but I would say we're past the beginning. We're more kind of at the early stages, right? It's no secret that there's billions of dollars of investment that are taking place each year in terms of AI implementation at every single organization. So I think the realization and understanding of, hey, AI is extremely necessary and we need to make investments there and we need to get everybody leveraging and utilizing it. has pushed us past the kind of initial beginning stage of how do we justify this and how do we ensure that this is something that we want to put our money and dollars behind. And now we're into kind of the early stages, right? How are we actually kind of putting processes in place to getting AI up and running and running efficiently for every single employee throughout the organization? So I would say we're still kind of early days, but it's moving quickly. To avoid the cliche of, everything's moving faster than ever before, but it really is. I mean, I think there's so much adoption that's continuing to happen. And now that there's some check boxes that have been kind of put in place with many different organizations, we're making some great progress, right? First and foremost, I think about AI governance. It's always the hot button topic. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it here today, but it's a box that's necessary and needs to be checked. Many organizations have already put in place, these different committees to ensure that things are being run through the right protocols and that everything is going to be safe and secure for their organization. That data isn't going to leak and people are utilizing AI in the wrong way, so on and so forth. And now it's really about how do we unlock value from the sheer amount of tools that are out there, right? How do we find what's right for each single task at hand and then integrate it throughout our entire kind of digital ecosystem?
And when you think about the distinction between winners and losers over the coming years, what do you think separates the two categories?
To me, I think it's really about a balance of structure and flexibility, right? I don't think you can swing too far in either direction. I think is there a set of tools that employees can choose from that they can utilize for the tasks that they have at hand, right? Not pigeonholing people into you must utilize this thing every single time for this particular um, uh, way of working. Now, certainly, are there kind of going to be some mandates and parameters put around that? Yes. And there's going to be certain industries that have more rules and regulations than others. But the hope, I think, is that you don't have to stray too far in either direction. That there's going to be many, many, many AI tools that are deployed throughout every single organization. It's just finding which ones are right for which employee, and then how do we drive kind of adoption of them. I think about this like even just a few years ago. With what happened in the communication and collaboration space, right? Think about Zoom and how that took off. That Zoom wasn't anywhere, and then all of a sudden, everybody utilized it in their personal life, and then all of a sudden, it took off inside of every single organization as a great tool that needs to be invested in, and something that people feel comfortable with utilizing. They know how to use it. And they know how to get the value from it. And I think that can be kind of similar here in terms of you've got k- AI tools that people are utilizing in their personal life. How do we put the right structure and parameters around them so that people feel comfortable in utilizing AI in the workplace as well, and making sure that they're able to get the value out of that they need in order to get their job done faster than ever before.
Hey, Matt, welcome on the show. It's always good to see you.
Great to be here. Great to see you too, Tim.
So let's get into some details. I think it's pretty apparent that I talk to a ton of people around the world, our customers, prospective customers, everybody that I talk to about AI is still trying to get a handle on it, right? You talked about the need for some governance and some controls, but I think in my experience, they've had a tough time articulating what the problem really is, right? They'll talk about risk, they'll talk about security. They're not quite sure what a solution looks like. Tell us what exactly is AI Drive. I look at it as AI for AI, but what problem does it solve, and what's the vision and the value prop?
Yeah. So I think I'll start with the latter and kind of vision. I think what we see as an organization and I feel really strongly about is almost like flipping the script. I think there's the whole notion out in the market of, how do we ensure that we are making our business the most cost effective or doing more with less and things along those lines by leveraging artificial intelligence. But I think really what we are finding and what we are trying to kind of push and showcase is that you can make your workforce so much more productive by having them leverage artificial intelligence. And that's really how you're going to be able to get ahead of the competition, how you're going to ensure you're not going to be left behind in the industry that you work. So how do we make sure that, AI is being um, pushed to the forefront and that we flip the script to really working towards productivity? I think what we know, right, is that today over 75% of people are actually already utilizing artificial intelligence, but it's highly distributed across many different tools. It's potentially the things that they're bringing into it's bring your own AI. So what really AI Drive does is it consolidates, all of this different fragmented AI activity into what we're calling a quantifiable business impact, right? We're going to be able to centralize AI visibility of the different tools that are out there, they're being utilized, how do we guide people to actually utilize it more effectively and adopt it better, and then how do we measure all of these things into this kind of like single actionable vantage point inside the Nexthink Infinity platform, so that people can really drive impact throughout and productivity throughout their organization.
I think that's an important part to highlight, which is that uh, AI can bring tremendous benefits, but it's not an easy button. And you can't just roll out an AI solution to your employees and say, here, go use this, and automatically they're going to be more productive. I think a lot of reports right now are saying people are less productive because they've got all this new learning curve. Things are changing so quickly. But get into a little bit more detail. Break down some of the key capabilities and possibilities for.
Yeah, so I had kind of just alluded to what we're calling almost like four different pillars of what an AI drive represents, right? And the first one is along the lines of visibility. How do we first and foremost get an understanding of what are the tools that are actually being utilized in every single organization's environment? Are they the ones that are corporate approved? Are they the ones that are, most effective in terms of making sure that people have the right tool for the right kind of thing? Visibility around the actual departments of people that are utilizing them. Are there certain groups that are utilizing AI more than others, and if so, which
Right.
tools are they? So I think visibility is kind of a key core starting place to make sure that you have kind of a bird's eye view of what your digital landscape looks like, similar to what we do on the deck side kind of today, right? The second one is around usage. The visibility is great, but if you're only getting, data around, hey, here are the tools that are actually being deployed throughout your organization, it doesn't take you as far as you need to be in order to like get to where we were just saying with the driving of the productivity element. So, how do we look at usage? How do we say that there are, X amount of people in your organization that are really AI champions? They're utilizing AI a lot, they're finding value from it. And how do we drive almost like the ball down the hill, or some forward momentum, right? And ensure that you're utilizing the champions in the organization to push forward the AI adoption, and highlight the value that they're getting from AI through to all the, other people in the organizations that may be, just dabbling in AI at this point in time. And similarly, on the usage side of the house, how do we look at the actual kind of prompts and things like that that are being pushed into place so that we can say, okay, you know what, here are the most common ways that people are generating value from AI, whether it's something as basic as, crafting an email to something more in depth, like creating code. So I think the usage element is kind of that second core key pillar that we look at. Following that, I think guidance is number three. How do we ensure that we're creating action points to drive additional pieces of adoption throughout? Looking at not only just hard metrics, but also getting insight into employee sentiment, right? And sentiment's always been a core part of the Nexthink platform. It's something that is key in terms of pushing everybody forward in terms of driving adoption. So what happens if, people are struggling with, certain rules or policies or not having access, and you may not have ever seen that before, but all of a sudden if you have contextual sentiment pieces that are coming into play, now all of a sudden you're able to put in place the programs, the trainings, the communications that are necessary in order to drive adoption of AI throughout the organization, and with the right tools that maybe people are asking for, because you have their actual um, sentiment that they feel around it. And then finally is the measurement kind of piece, right? What are the key metrics that organizations can leverage to be able to provide a roll up to the executive leadership team, and make sure that they're saying, hey, here's the amount of active users and the trend of active usage for AI and the different tools across our organization. We're making great progress here. We're seeing an uptick in the actual amount of engaged time with artificial intelligence across each user. And now all of a sudden we can find out, what is the value or the time saved by utilizing AI, and gain context by really benchmarking that against other organizations, which I think is a key piece, because without that kind of benchmarking and context, you're just measuring against yourself. And with something so new in the industry, there's really no kind of internal comparison that you can have. So those are kind of
Yeah,
the key pieces.
there's a lot there. I think that it highlights, and we talked about it a little bit, the vision that Nexthink has, our ability to execute, being developed on a foundation of an AI platform. It allows us to move quickly in doing these things. What's being used, who's using it, how is it being used, where is it successful versus where is it struggling? How do we share those best practices with the rest of our enterprise and help people come up to speed? I think are all things that in our vision and our ability to execute that others aren't able to do. Using AI inside the platform to help manage AI outside the platform is something that no one else has. And I think lots of people share our excitement on this AI drive coming out to help really manage this transformational change in IT to a different level. Do you see it as a natural extension of what we've been doing all along in our core DEX principles that are now just reaching into some new apps and new technologies? Or is it the flip of that, where it's a fundamentally new approach tailored to the wave of AI?
I think it's actually closer to the former. I think what we want to make sure that we're doing is keeping structure and process the same, right? We've had customers with us for so long. They've been able to see value out of, and great value out of, the Nexthink Infinity platform. We don't need to reinvent the wheel on that front, but we do need to ensure that we're continuing to move forward, to innovate, to provide the right resources, to be the most beneficial kind of DEX platform for every single customer, out there. And really, I think that's an extension of the core kind of DEX principles that, you've been seeing. I think, like, you've probably, if you're listening, you've probably heard us talk about see, diagnose, and fix so many times. And I think there's a natural kind of extension of how that comes into play even here, right? We talked about visibility, see, diagnose, usage and guidance, and making sure, and fix, kind of all coming into play there, where it's now what's going on in the environment. You're able to understand what are the great things that are happening and how can I kind of extrapolate that, but also fix some of the kind of issues that people may be having from an adoption standpoint or from a measurability standpoint. So, and ultimately, it all stems back to our greater goal of creating a better digital employee experience. If you're able to utilize the latest technology because organizations feel like they have the visibility and foresight and control over it, then now you're providing not only a better digital employee experience, but a more productive workforce as well. So certainly extension, and I think there's kind of continued ways that DEX and AI will continue to come together and will push the industry forward here.
Right.
Hi, Matt. Dina here. Have you had early feedback from customers or prospects on AI Drive? And what would be the thing that resonates the most with them?
Yeah. So we have, and hello, Dina. How are you? The thing that we hear most, as of right now, from a lot of the customers that have been leveraging AI Drive for, I guess, a couple months now, in preview mode, has been really all about adoption, 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 right? I think I started off the top of the call by saying everybody's investing in artificial intelligence. That's the case. The numbers don't lie. And we've heard that from, all the different customers that have been utilizing AI Drive to date. But they're really kind of stuck at a point of how do I ensure that I'm driving adoption of artificial intelligence in the right way? I think, Tim, you might have alluded to it that, AI is only as good as the proficiency of the workforce utilizing it. So how do we ensure that we're training people up the right way? How do we ensure people aren't going around in circles, which is pretty easy to do with AI if you're continually prompting and prompting and prompting, waiting to get to the answer that you are hoping for. So what are the best practices for kind of chaining things together and moving that forward? So adoption is probably number one. And then measurement is number two, right? Especially with some of the customers that we work with that may be a little bit more mature in nature in terms of their AI strategy. Maybe they've been able to see to a certain extent what tools have been out there. Maybe they've seen some success with driving the adoption of some of the corporate owned tools, or corporate mandated tools that they put in place inside their organization, but they don't know how to continue to make sure that they're unlocking the insight into how much did that actually save me? How much, why has this been so important, and why should I articulate this as a um, great outcome that I can then push to the other people throughout the organization that may not have adopted, that now have a real sense of, look at my colleagues who are seeing all this value, and time saved and productivity and things along those lines.
Fantastic. It feels like a cornerstone product with a big, big future. What can you share about the roadmap in general for AI Drive over the next couple of years?
Well, the one thing that I will say is there will be continued investment here. I'm on the product marketing side, so roadmap's a little bit out of my full jurisdiction. But what I will say is that we know that we want to continue to invest in this product. That there's going to be continued evolution of it. That as we hear more and more from customers about, the AI value gap that, Gartner has coined, and how we can best represent the data to be able to showcase how that can be unlocked, the better. And we're going to continue to leverage, a lot of the different DEX capabilities that we have and infuse them in there to make sure that, we're taking full advantage of the Infinity platform, that's already out there, because there are so many kind of tie-ins, right? I alluded to some of the engagement pieces before, but there's so much more than that, especially as it relates to some of the digital adoption pieces as well. So continued investment, continued breadth of scope across the platform, and ultimately continued learnings for our customers as well.
Great. Does AI Drive itself leverage AI today? And how do you see that evolving in the future? More, less?
Yeah, multiple different facets actually. So as of right now, there's functionality in there that makes it extremely easy to be able to, as I mentioned, kind of ladder up success in the status, right? We're leveraging our own artificial intelligence to scan across the Nexthink Infinity platform and gain learnings from what the data is saying, right? How do I quickly, if I'm managing the Nexthink platform, get a read from artificial intelligence on, you know, here's the progress that was made week over week. Here are some of the action items that we should take to continue to drive more productivity and drive more kind of active usage, and then summarize that and be able to provide it up the ladder without even really having to spend too much time kind of analyzing everything that's going on inside the AI Drive dashboard, because it's already been there and correlated against, like was mentioning before, the benchmarks of other organizations out there so that they can gain some context. The other one that I think is extremely important on the AI front is we had recently, I guess it was a few months ago now, launched AI sentiment analysis as part of our kind of employee engagement campaigns. And so now all of a sudden, this becomes this key way of leveraging AI for, AI purposes. If I send a survey out that is tailored to each individual AI application, and get, thousands upon thousands of responses back, how do we leverage AI to culminate all of those things, find trends, find categories, and then make recommendations on ways to actually improve some of the processes that are out there? If everybody's saying, hey, you know what, I have been utilizing ChatGPT, but I'm willing to make the move over to Microsoft Copilot if, we can do X, Y, and Z with it. And that becomes something that has been said, 10 times, 100 times, 200 times now in your large organization. Now you've got some backing and some guidance as to how you can kind of better make an approach to providing that shift in the organization and driving additional AI adoption. So, yeah, multiple different levels of AI within AI Drive today.
Definitely. The insight that you would get, back to your point of the see, diagnose, fix, with the power of AI Drive, gives you a lot of actionable information that would really help with the decision making based off of data, not just that, but also the analysis that you do from the Engage campaigns. Um, Alluding to that, how might the roadmap intersect with other Nexting solutions like Assist or Adopt in the future?
Yeah, so I think Assist is already live and well today, right? In terms of how these two kind of pieces come together. If I'm utilizing the Nexthink platform and I have a question about the artificial intelligence tools that are deployed throughout my organization, I'm going to be able to ask Assist, and it's going to be able to provide answers for me based on the data that we're already collecting. It's part of the big benefit of AI Drive being embedded inside of the Infinity platform and coming standard kind of out of the box. Is now all of a sudden all of the different additional pieces of data that are nicely collected, that are nicely displayed and easy to read, are already kind of being surfaced, and Assist is reading into all those things, and you're going to be able to effectively ask additional questions on top of what's already displayed on screen to get additional insight. So Assist is out there, and the Assist also has engagement campaign creation capabilities as well, which is nice. So while we're coming with pre-configured AI engage campaigns for specific tools, there's nothing stopping for you from asking Assist to create an additional one and continue to get quick value and be able to see things progress forward. On the Adopt side of the house, this is another one that I'll just lightly touch on now, but I think the correlation is certainly there, right? We talked about guidance as that third pillar, and there are many, many different things that you can do with AI Drive out of the box from a guidance perspective, but the layering addition of Adopt on there takes that one step further, right? Think about custom guides that you could put in top of AI tools through Nexthink Adopt and be able to effectively have, these in real time, contextually relevant, guided ways to not only, push people to the right tools, but also have them utilize those tools most effectively because we have, the guides set up for every single employee to be able to do so. So, and customize for that particular tool to make sure that the user experience is the most intuitive possible. So, I think we touched upon, breadth of the Nexthink platform and continued intersection of AI Drive, and that's no different for what we're doing with Assist and Adopt and AI Drive as well.
Mhm. So Matt, I think many others are like me with the art of the possible spinning through their head, the breadth of our platform and where this might apply itself. Let's let's hone in on, for our listeners, who in an organization should be paying the closest attention to AI Drive right now. So a role or some specific priorities. Where does it serve itself best? And what are the risks if this kind of arena is ignored, and what's the best way to learn more, especially how much does it cost?
All right. Well, you know what? Let's start in reverse because it's the question that everybody always asks. How much does it
Mhm.
cost? And we shouldn't have kept everybody waiting till the end. But AI Drive is available for free for everybody as part of the Nexthink Infinity platform. So if you are utilizing Nexthink Infinity today, in a few weeks' time, you'll see AI Drive roll out to your particular instance, which is great because I think it's a key, as I think we said, cornerstone of driving digital employee experience forward is the visibility, adoption, and value that's garnered from artificial intelligence. So having AI drive available to everybody will go a long way. And there's no need to even have to further justify additional expense. In terms of, who should be paying closest attention to this, I think it's threefold, if you will. So one is it's no secret that end user computing teams are the teams that are utilizing Nexthink Infinity the most as of right now, right? And don't anticipate that on changing, but I think there is a major tie-in between what AI Drive can do and the value that end user computing teams can see. Um, and it can be as simple as, hey, you've just been responsible for deploying a whole bunch of AI tools across the organization. Aren't you curious about how they're being adopted? What the actual kind of number of people are you in terms of utilizing them? How much are they utilizing them? And then ultimately, are there things that we may need to roll back? Right? Like, are there particular tools? I think tools that can be, positioned as, hey, this was a pilot, but the pilot, didn't surface the value that we were looking for. So let's try something else. That's the thing with AI. There's so many tools out there that it's going to be a trial error run for a lot of organizations in terms of what are the most effective ones for their organization. So how do you reallocate and repurpose a lot of the different kind of budgetary components that may be invested one place and repurpose them in another in order to ensure you're finding overall efficiency. And I think a lot of that kind of falls back into the hands of end user computing teams having full kind of knowledge and scale over what their environment entails. The other two, I think in some organizations, AI centers of excellence, right? Those are the people who are putting in place, here's what the rules and of or the laws of the land are in terms of the AI tools that we'd like to use. So having them have the visibility and understanding of, what are people actually utilizing the tools that we're recommending? Are they utilizing them effectively? And how can we drive continued adoption of them because they're the ones that are kind of wanting to put them in place is key for them to continue to provide learnings back to the organization. And then finally, it's all the way up the ladder, right? It's no secret that every single organization has AI top of mind on their kind of strategy planning sessions each and every single quarter and year. So how do we ensure that C-suite has visibility over these kind of key components as well, and really be able to provide that information all the way up to be able to say, yep, here's the impact that it's making, and here's how we're driving our organization forward, because we don't want to be left behind by not utilizing AI to its fullest potential.
Phenomenal. And I have to say, like, before we leave AI drive behind and take our leave, I really loved what you said, Tim, about using AI inside the platform to help manage AI outside the platform. It's such a cool way to put it. Really succinctly articulates not just AI drive, but I think the total Nexthink strategy around AI adoption and transformation. Very, very cool breakdown as well, Matt. Really, really appreciate it. And look, before you go, sometimes we have our guests on Reality Bytes, and I dust off this question, usually because I'm genuinely curious about it in the individual case, and there's somebody who works with you. I'm genuinely curious to know your answer, Matt. What do you most like about being a next thinker? What's top of your list?
Yeah, twofold. One, of course, is working with both prospective and current clients on a regular basis, understanding, what they've got going on in their environment, the challenges they're facing, and how can we continue to help and propel them forward is one. And then two is really along the lines of uh, making impact, right? And understanding of, hey, here's the things that we're hearing from our customers, and how do we ensure that we're taking that back to product and engineering teams and say, what, these are the things that we need to develop. And I feel, I guess, in the role that I currently have, that I have an opportunity to be voice of the customer in terms of being able to relay that back and ensure that we're building the things that are going to be the most impactful for every single one of our customers, like I said, to propel their organization forward and get the most out of digital employee experience platform like Nexthink.
Well said, Matt. And thank you so much for that breakdown. Of course, interested listeners can learn more about AI Drive by looking in the show notes. We'll have links to all kinds of resources and places you can get a bit more information, insight, and even perhaps make contact with somebody to discuss it in your account. Thank you, Matt, for joining us and for telling us about this amazing new product, man. Really appreciate it.
To make sure that you never miss an episode, subscribe to the show in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast player. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure to leave a rating of the show. Just tap the number of stars you think the podcast deserves. If you'd like to learn more about how Nexthink can help you improve your digital employee experience, head over to nexthink.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.